Vincent was having a peaceful day, completely unaware of what was about to hit him. He sat comfortably in his living room, enjoying a glass of wine, when suddenly his front door burst open. Two young men walked in, his brothers-in-law. Before Vincent could even react, one of them grabbed him by the collar and dragged him out of his seat. The next thing he knew, he was on the floor. He was overpowered and badly beaten. As Vincent screamed in pain, blows were landing on him from every direction. Then his dear wife walked in. This is African Folktales with Nsinem. Come closer, because this story is going to amuse and annoy you all at once. Before Vincent became a real-life punching bag, he was just a criminal lawyer. Using the word just would be downplaying his success, because Vincent was a seasoned lawyer. He had a successful firm at just 35 years old and was connected to the who's who in the society. And just like every other African parent would do, he was urged to get a wife. So the search for a wife began, and one day Vincent was introduced to Ama. Just by laying his eyes on her, Vincent was hooked. The girl was beautiful, skin like milk. But Vincent hadn't heard of Samson's story from the Bible yet, because if he had, he would have been more careful with Ama, or better still, ran for his life. You see, Ama was beautiful, yes, but she was not so bright, and very soon you would understand why. Vincent proposed to Ama 3 months after they met. He meant business, and after Ama saw his portfolio, his assets, she said yes. Vincent was a very calculative man. He planned everything. If he wanted to go on a trip, he would plan and allocate funds for it, down to the money he was spending on food. So, their wedding was beautiful. Vincent had planned for it, and he gave Ama the kind of wedding that was talked about for months. The food included both local and intercontinental cuisines. Musicians were flown in from different parts of the world to entertain their guests. Vincent had planned well, and Ama was blown away. But she was yet to see the downside of marrying a planner. Ama didn't work. She didn't have to, because Vincent provided everything. When I mean everything down to feminine supplies. She had 2 cars that were allocated to her and a driver at her beck and call. One day, Vincent told Ama to bring up a business proposal so that he could fund it. Though he was providing everything for her, he still wanted her to be self-reliant, or at least have something to occupy her time. Ama came up with the idea of opening a filling station, and Vincent funded it. Ama didn't even know what was going on there. It was partly run by one of her brothers and his friend. The second business was a big mall. Within a few months, the business was down and out. After the collapse of 2 businesses, Vincent let Ama do the only job she seemed to be good at, a glorified, pampered housewife. Ama was living the life until the day she visited her friend. Eliana Obi, Ama's classmate from secondary school, had just come into town, and Ama had gone to visit her, and together they went out shopping. They had been to some high-end stores in Lekki, and of course all the bills were on Ama, until her card declined. Ama was shocked. In her 2 years of marrying Vincent, her card had never declined. But that was also because she had never done that magnitude of shopping before. Ama was embarrassed, and her friend didn't help at all. She immediately put a call across to her husband, but he didn't take the call. They stood there at the payment point for what felt like forever. The sales rep, who could easily be called snob, asked that the items be placed back in the boutique. Ama and her friend had to go back home. While they sat in one of Vincent's sitting rooms, enjoying a glass of champagne with fried fish and chips. And then Eliana asked Ama the one question that would shatter her world. And quickly before we continue, shout out to Thomasina, Makal, Kim Hurd, Belinda, Lovedeep, Tracy, Vicky, Fatima, Caesar from USA. Thank you so much for always supporting African Folktales with Nsinem. May God bless you. If you also want to shout out in my next video, be sure to leave a comment. Back to the story.
Amma, Eliana started, getting her friend's full attention. Why would your husband allow you to get so embarrassed? Why is he giving you a little card with very little money on it, when he is worth so much? Eliana said. Amma stared at her blankly, making her friend exclaim, Hold on, you mean you don't know how much your husband is worth? You don't know how much he makes? How much he makes from his numerous clients and other businesses? Eliana asked. Amma shook her head. Then you don't have to allow it. Don't let any man take you for a ride, Eliana insisted. Amma's morale suddenly went high. Eliana had successfully planted a dangerous seed in her mind, and Vincent was about to pay for it. If you're enjoying this story, do give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't. I share intriguing African tales you're sure to enjoy. Back to the story. After Vincent had been served his dinner, Amma went to her husband. When she came in looking all good and smelling nice, Vincent didn't know what was about to hit him.
Sweetheart, how much do you make in a month? She asked. Vincent looked at her and said nothing. Amma wasn't going to be ignored. Vincent, how much do you earn every month? She exclaimed. Vincent remained quiet. Amma wasn't going to back down. She poked him. Vincent, I am talking to you. Don't ignore me, Amma yelled, getting really impatient and pissed off. Vincent cleared his throat. And what do you want to do with that information? Vincent asked. Amma didn't say a word. Is it because of that little issue at the boutique? Vincent asked. Amma sprang to her feet. Vincent Ikubo, have you been monitoring me through your driver? Amma asked. So you think I would allow an airhead like you to be roaming around spending my money without monitoring you? Vincent said. But he couldn't get the next word in because Amma put the words back into his mouth. She gave Vincent a hot, stargazing slap. Vincent looked at her. In that moment, anger engulfed him and all his sense of reasoning was gone. Vincent got on his feet and walked close to her and returned it. He slapped her right in the face, sending her flying with a quick descent to the floor, where she landed on her bum and on her wrist. So come closer. What do you think of what just happened? Do you think Amma was justified because her husband called her an airhead? What of Vincent's reaction? Was slapping her back justified? Leave your thoughts in the comment section.
And while you're there, let me give another shout out to my besties in Trinidad and Tobago, Benedette, Nishelka, and Virginia. I loved reading all your comments. Back to the story. Amma quietly went back to her room, and so did Vincent. The following day, Amma left the house very early in the morning. Vincent, having slept on what had happened, was ready to apologize. He called her phone several times, but she didn't take her calls. Vincent then proceeded to send her a message, asking her to come home because he needed to talk to her. Still, there was no response. Later that day, Vincent decided to have a glass of wine. While he sat in his living room and contemplating on what would have prompted Amma's new behavior, the door opened and his brothers-in-law walked in. Vincent immediately wondered why he had not been notified by his security. Before Vincent was done processing that thought, one of them grabbed him by the collar and dragged him out of his seat. The next thing he knew, he was on the floor, receiving the beating of his adult life. As Vincent screamed in pain, blows were landing on him from every direction. His dear wife, Amma, walked in. Amma stood at the entrance, her hand in a cast, her face still swollen from the slap. But her eyes were no longer soft. They were different. "How dare you lay your hands on my sister?" one of them yelled. As quickly as it started, the ordeal ended. While Vincent lay on the floor, writhing in pain, Amma went in and came out moments later with 3 suitcases. Not long after, they were gone. A little issue that had started with a declined card was slowly snowballing into something really crazy. 3 days later, at about 6 in the morning, Amma was at home still sleeping when they heard a loud knock on their gate. It was the police. By the time they were done, Amma's brothers were arrested. Immediately, the police van drove away with her brothers. Amma entered into her car and drove to her husband's house. Yes, Vincent's house. I'm sure you're wondering, what is Amma going there to do? Is Amma going to beg for mercy? Should she? Is she going to start another fight? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As Vincent sat in his little garden, trying to reply his emails, unbeknownst to him that Amma was on her way to his house. His mind drifted back to his parents. Vincent had been born into money, really good money. His father had a big construction company that were usually hired by oil and gas producing companies. While Vincent's father, Victor, was busy making the money, his beautiful wife, Emanuela, was busy spending it. There was no luxury item she didn't own. Chanel, Saint Laurent, Versace, Gucci, name them, she had them all. Most times, she would wake up and fly first class just to go and shop at luxury stores. Victor would caution her to cut back on the spending, but there was no stopping Emanuela. You see, Victor loved his wife a lot, maybe a little too much, because he made her a signatory to all his accounts. And so, Emanuela spent her husband's money with reckless abandon. Sometimes, she would take out huge amount of money with the excuse that she was investing them. Life was good until one very dark day.
Victor came home with very terrible news, a tragedy. He had lost 10 of his workers at sea. They had gone for underwater welding of some pipes, and all of a sudden they were all found unresponsive. That was just a tip of the iceberg, because the months that followed was tragic. His company was put under scrutiny and words started flying. Substandard equipments, terrible working conditions, disparity in payment schedule of workers, things Victor wasn't even aware was happening. Victor went from being top at the game to nothing. Companies ended their contracts with his company on a daily basis. He went from bringing in millions every day to nothing. And with a wife that spent money as a hobby, they went broke. Then Victor discovered all the investments and businesses his wife had reportedly been investing in was all a lie. Vincent watched his father slide from grace down to grass really fast because he let his wife have full access to his money. They had to sell their assets, change schools, and move to the kind of house they never knew existed. Life became even harder because they had once lived in abundance.
The part that hurt more was when they returned from school one day to an empty house. Their mother had packed her things and disappeared into thin air. Emanuela leaving him hurt Victor much more than losing his money. Though his father later cleared his name and found out who the saboteur in his company was, life was not the same. After that experience, Vincent swore to never let a woman have access to his money. Never. Seeing hardship had hardened Vincent, and nothing could affect him like that again. Until he met Amma. But as Vincent drank his wine in his garden, enjoying nature, he had no idea of what was coming. He didn't know his wife was outside. Amma sat in her car for a long moment, staring at Vincent's house, the same house where everything had changed. Then she stepped out and walked in. She was holding a bag. The security let her go in. They had not been instructed not to. Amma walked up to the entrance of the mansion, then turned to make sure she wasn't being followed before heading towards the car park. Vincent was quickly alerted by his security personnel that Amma was in the premises. Vincent relaxed, preparing to receive some sort of apology, but the loud sound he heard shook him out of his thoughts. The sound was very loud. Car alarms suddenly started blaring. Vincent rushed to his car park. Immediately he got there, he saw his beautiful wife Amma smashing his car, his Rolls Royce. Immediately 2 of his security ran to the scene and held Amma, retrieving the baseball bat from her. The car had already been wrecked. The 2 windows were smashed and the driver's door had been smashed. Vincent didn't say a word, but Amma did all the talking. "How dare you arrest my brothers? How dare you?" she yelled as the security removed her from the property. Vincent went back to his study and took a glass of brandy. Then he made a call. A very special shout out goes to my viewers from Jamaica, Simone, Jacinth, Kenisha, and Yvonne.
Thank you for supporting the channel. Back to the story. Weeks after, Amma was at her father's house when a bailiff arrived and served her petition to appear in court. Vincent wanted a divorce. Immediately she was served, Amma called Eliana. She told her in detail everything that had happened. Amma was shocked when Eliana told her she was in the middle of something and would call her back later, but she never did. Even when Amma tried calling her repeatedly afterwards, Eliana ignored every single call. And for the first time since everything began, Amma realized something painful. The friend who had encouraged her anger was nowhere to be found when her life started falling apart.
While Amma was going through a divorce, her brothers were sent to jail for assault and destroying property. While Amma sat in court, watching the court proceedings during her divorce hearing, she couldn't believe how things had escalated so quickly. It's a wonder what just a car declining at a luxurious boutique in Lekki can do. Tell me, who do you blame for this? Amma's friend, Amma herself, Vincent, or Amma's brothers? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. After the court had granted a provisional divorce order, they were given the mandatory 3 months to still deliberate before the divorce was finalized. During this period, Amma begged Vincent to forgive. She cried, groveled, but it was too late. 3 months after, the divorce was finalized and her brothers were sent to jail. Money can build a beautiful home, but without trust, respect, and communication, even the strongest marriage can collapse overnight. Pride, anger, outside influence, and uncontrolled reactions turned a simple misunderstanding into a disaster that destroyed a family.
Sometimes, people are not truly fighting each other. They are fighting the pain, fear, and insecurities they carry from their past. Before allowing anger or outsiders to control your decisions, remember, one moment of pride can ruin a lifetime of peace. If you enjoyed this story, I am very sure you will enjoy this story on your screen. Click to watch and I'll see you there.